Hear, O Yasharwan, the great I am, the great spirit, is the only power for you. The great I am, the great spirit is one. Speak peace on this day of rest. Rise, O Yasharwan. Welcome to World War III. Our reference today will be Joel chapter 3 verse 2. This message will be entitled The Bantu Sons of Zion Scattered. Now, there's two words in Hebrew. The word for son in Hebrew is ban or bin in a rough translated form. Also in the Assyrian, banu, meaning son. The word for to sweep or to scatter is two. So when you put these two words together, it makes up the word bantu, meaning scattered sons or swept sons. This is a Hebrew word, and it's used smack dab in the middle of Africa. Now, one of the first accounts of the Hebrew Israelites, or the people of the book of the Bible, to be swept or scattered was during the reign of Tilgath-Pilzar III, the Akkadian, and his son Sargon II. Now they came down and they destroyed Ashkelon, which is in the land of Judea, which is in the land of Palestine. They destroyed the northern kingdom of Israelites. And what they did is they picked them up and took them to another land, into the land of Assyria, into the land of, the Syria, or beyond Babylon, the waters over there. This is one of the first accounts, folks. And when they got there, the book of Ezra tells us that they decided that when the Hebrew Israelites got there, they decided that they was going to leave, and they left. Folks, these are the people that the Messiah you call Jesus Christ came for. He went to the southern kingdom of Judeans who were still in the land, the southern kingdom, not the northern kingdom. And he came back and he said, I have come not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. To go on to a little more in history, we have Ibn Khaldun, a historiographer and historian who didn't write anything about Ashkenazi Jews, Ashkenazi meaning Germans, but melanated or black Hebrews in North Africa. And again, there's other historians like him who never mentioning anything about Ashkenaz. That's in North Africa, folks. Now, if we go into Europe, we'll come across this book called El Libro Negro, The Inquisition. The full title is El Libro Negro de la Inquisición. 268 pages of Negro history in Europe. There were so many religious wars in Europe during these times. The 50 Years' War, the 100 Years' War. And we come to find out that they were actually ethnically cleansing Europe. If you look and see, I believe it's Benedict the 15th or 16th. Benedict is the Pope Benedict, his coat of arms. You'll see a Negro face. You see a Negro with an afro. And this man is a king in Germany. The German Pope is wearing a heraldry with a Negro on it. Does that make sense to you? It don't to me. But let's keep going. You got the Waldensians and the Huguenots. Again, both of these Protestant, so-called Protestant religions, it turns out that they started out as ethnic religions, ethno-religious. And in this book, El Libro Negro, it speaks about inquisition of the Jews. So when we come to 1492, when they were kicking the Jews out of Spain and Portugal, later in Portugal, they kicked the Jews out of Spain. They kicked them out of Europe. But the ones that stayed in Europe had to suffer these inquisitions because they weren't doing what the Catholic Church wanted them to do. And now you Christians, based upon your history, all of your Protestant ministers were calling the Catholic Church a heretical church, calling it basically the Antichrist and everything. All of your Protestant groups back then, that's what they were doing, calling it the Antichrist. And again, we have the Timbuktu libraries, and I say plural, libraries, because when Islam came over, they kicked out, they scattered the Bantus, and these are actually Bantu people who wrote in Islam, and they wanted to save their writings. So they wrote in Arabic, spoke Arabic, and practiced Islam. But these are Bantu people. Remember that. They are scattered. And these libraries are across North Africa. Various books that have been saved. A little nugget that I found in research is that if you use salt, sugar, and charcoal, you can whiten your teeth. How many of you know a bunch of Africans with teeth that are so white? They're learning this stuff. Here in America, we have the slave narratives. And again, these are Bantu people scattered. And they giving us an account of their dealings here in America. These are our direct ancestors telling us pretty much the same thing. We've been scattered and being terrorized by the people who own us. Now the Khazar kingdom, or the sons of Ashkenaz, which Ashkenaz means Germans, are given no promises in the holy tongue, the yasharwan Kodash, what you call the Holy Bible. Again, Germans, these Ashkenaz people, Ashkenazis, they are given no promises. Yet even their modern science says that they are less than 1%, roughly, of ancient Israel blood. So they cannot be the people. Here in America, the history of America, we have Aaron Lopez of Newport, Rhode Island. We have Isaac DaCosta of Charleston, North Carolina, and David Franks of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All of the Ashkenazi Jewish religion. Again, Ashkenazi meaning German. And they assisted in the human trafficking of the Bantu, here called Guinea men, but again, Bantu meaning the swept sun. They assisted in that. And even today, they have this oral law called the halakha. It's the oral Jewish law. And it's not the Torah itself. So the Ashkenazi Jews, they use this oral law called the halakha to determine who is Jew and who is not. Again, they set the Bible aside and use their own oral law to determine who is Jew. They don't use the Bible itself. Remember that. Now, there's so many scriptures throughout the Bible that tell us that the Most High is for the children of Israel. He made a promise to them. And even in the New Testament, the book of Luke chapter 1, we'll look at verse 67 through 80. A lot of people know about John the Baptist, but they don't They know little to nothing about John the Baptist's father, Zacharias, and his prophecy and him teaching his son that the Messiah to come was to save his people from their enemies. That was a promise from God. Because why? They would be lost. And that's the same message that the Messiah gives to the Judites, the southern kingdom, and the Samaritans. He's telling the Samaritan woman, I have come not before the house of Israel, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's telling this woman, and he's telling the people around. And he even told them, he gave them a direct commandment to go not to the Gentiles, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's why he came, because there was a promise for them, these lost sheep. And how do you get lost? You get banished. You get human trafficked. You get swept across nations. That's what we're talking about here. Again, Isaiah saying, and he shall judge among the nations. This is Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. And nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Again in Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning and the form. Excuse me, let me say this again. Isaiah chapter 46, because I just got a premonition. Verse 10. Isaiah 46, verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. This is the Most High saying that from the beginning, he will declare the end. So if you're a Hebrew Israelite from the beginning in this word, then you're going to be a Hebrew Israelite in the end. A Hebrew Israelite in the end. So there's no grafting in the Old Testament. There's no grafting of nations. They're all divided in the Old Testament. The disciples of the Messiah asked him, when would the kingdom come? When would the kingdom come? And they're asking him during the time that the Italians were in charge of the land of Israel. Was there any grafting going on at that time? No, because they were asking the Messiah about a kingdom that he would bring, about a kingdom that was promised to them by their forefathers, by the prophets, by the law of Moses, something that the halakha refuses to do, the halakha of the Jewish people. You know, they prepare their oral laws over the law of Moses. Again, here we got Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people. This is an end time prophecy telling you from the beginning what the end is going to be like. And you know, these Bantu people have been human trafficked and scattered across the earth. And all they have to do is they have to wake up and to identify themselves of who they truly are. And that's when the God of their forefathers will start fighting for them. That's when they will start fighting. The angel of your nation will fight for you. All you have to do is wake up. But being a Christian as we know today, being an angry Hebrew Israelite, when you following the ideas of the Edomians. And I'll give you that verse in Ezekiel. The Edomians who, O Mount Seir, you Edomians, again, Ezekiel chapter 35 speaks on. The Most High is upset with the nations. If you Hebrew Israelites are out there acting like the Edomians with hate in your heart, yelling and screaming, you think you're going to be saved if you're cursing the children of God, doing the same thing that the Edomites are doing? Look into Ezekiel chapter 37. It's going to be the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. These two kingdoms coming back together again. This is the Most High saying in the beginning what's going to happen in the end. It has nothing to do with the Christian prospect or perspective of being grafting into a nation or promises that don't belong to them. Again, I remind you all the listeners of Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening, that this wind walking moment is for all of you to wake up to the fact that the Most High power, the great I am, the great spirit, he's waiting for his children to wake up. The people who he's chosen that represents him on this planet, that are supposed to be representing him, representing peace. I'm going to end this message now. Remind you guys that racism is evil, and anybody who's labeling God as a racist is equating him to the evil that is on this planet. I am your conscientious objector. I am also a Hebrew Israelite. Hebrew Israelite out.